The man on the mooring line saw it first. A flicker of light near the tail, small, almost soft. Above him hung the largest machine that had ever flown. Silver, silent, impossible. He had watched it come in before, on other evenings. Nothing had ever gone wrong. He opened his mouth to shout. He never made a sound. By the time anyone understood, it was already falling. Years before that evening there was a dream. It belonged to a man named Hugo Eckener. German, patient, exacting. He believed the future belonged to the sky, not to airplanes, loud, cramped, fragile things. He believed in ships, ships that floated. Eckener built airships that crossed oceans in silence. He once flew one around the entire world. Kings waited to meet him. Crowds filled the streets. For a while he was the most trusted man alive in the sky. He lived by a single rule: safety above everything. He was not a gambler. He was the opposite of a gambler. He had seen what careless men did to these machines. He had watched them burn. So he was careful, obsessively, famously careful. And then he set out to build his masterpiece, the biggest, the grandest, a floating palace above the clouds, dining rooms, a piano, windows open to the sea of air. It would carry the wealthy across the Atlantic like royalty. It would be the proudest thing his country had ever made. A cathedral that could fly. He wanted it to be perfect. More than that, he wanted it to be safe. There was only one problem. The thing that would make it safe was not his to give. To lift a ship that size, you need a gas lighter than air. Only a few will do. One of them is rare and calm and can never catch fire. Another is everywhere and cheap and hungry to burn. Eckener wanted the calm one. He always had. His entire life had been a war against fire in the sky. He had watched other men try what he was trying. He had watched their ships fall in flames one by one. The lesson was written across a generation of wreckage. Use the burning gas and sooner or later the sky takes you. So Eckener wanted the safe one, desperately. But the safe gas came from a single country, America. And America would not sell. There were laws. The gas could be turned into a weapon. So they locked it away and guarded it like gold. That left Eckener with the gas he feared, and the world around him was turning dark. New men had seized power in his country, men in uniform who loved symbols more than truth. They looked at his beautiful ship and saw a banner, proof of a master race floating over the world. They did not care what filled it, they wanted it flying, enormous silver under their flag. Eckener argued, he warned, he made himself a nuisance. A famous old man muttering about danger, so they pushed him aside. They painted their crooked cross across the tail, and they filled his masterpiece with the gas he feared. Then they sent it into the sky, and here is the part that should frighten you. Nothing went wrong. It crossed the ocean again and again, flawless. Passengers danced and dined above the waves. The danger became a rumor, then a joke. Everyone stopped being afraid. Everyone except the one man who knew. In every one of these, someone knew first. Subscribe, we are still counting them. He was not on board, he never flew this one. He only waited and dreaded from far away. It would take almost nothing to end it, and still the ship kept flying. Out over the black Atlantic toward a wet field in New Jersey, toward one particular evening in spring. The evening it arrived, the sky was wrong. Rain had passed. The air felt heavy, charged. The ship circled, waiting for the weather to settle. Then it turned toward the mast, slow and certain, engines humming, silver skin catching the last light. The ropes dropped. Men on the ground reached up. Cameras rolled. A radio man described it all calm and warm. For a moment, everything was ordinary. Then, near the tail, the light, that small, soft flicker the man on the ropes had seen. It did not stay small. It bloomed, orange, then white, then everything. A sound came that no one there ever forgot. Not a bang, a roar. The sound of the sky tearing open. The tail sank first, folding into the fire. The nose lifted toward the clouds as if reaching. Inside, people were still holding their bags. The radio man's voice cracked, then broke, then failed. People leapt from the windows into the light. Some ran out from under it as it fell around them. The largest thing that had ever flown, gone in 32 seconds. When the smoke lifted, only the bones remained, a black skeleton, glowing, sinking into the grass. Somewhere in Germany, an old man heard the news and knew exactly why. The gas that lifted the ship was called hydrogen, light as a breath, eager to burn. That evening, high in the tail, some of it escaped. A small leak, a wire, a valve. Something let it seep free. It gathered quietly, mixing with the open air. Below, the wet ropes touched the earth. The metal bones of the ship reached for the ground, but the outer skin held a different charge. The storm had left the whole sky electric, and between the frame and the skin a difference grew. Then it let go, a spark, faint, almost invisible. St. Elmo's fire, sailors used to call it. It found the leaking gas, and the gas had been waiting for it all along. That was the whole secret. A little escaped gas, a little static, a spark. There was another gas they could have used. It was called helium. It lifts almost as well, and it cannot burn. Fill the ship with helium, and that spark does nothing. No roar, no fire, no falling skeleton in the grass. 36 people would have walked home that night. The distance between them and the fire was a single word: helium. The investigators came from both sides of the ocean, careful men with notebooks and questions. They studied the wreck, they argued for months. In the end, they blamed the weather, the static, the leak, an accident, a tragedy, no one's fault. They were wrong. The spark did not kill those people, nor did the gas, not really. What killed them was a decision. Everyone had known. That was the horror of it. The men who built it knew, the men who flew it knew, the safe gas existed. It sat across an ocean, guarded. They could have waited. They could have grounded the ship. Instead, they flew it, proud, defiant under their flag, because backing down would have looked like weakness, because a symbol is not allowed to be afraid. The flaw was never the gas. The flaw was that someone knew and no one listened. Eckener lived on. He watched his life's work become a warning. He had told them it had not been enough. Being right, it turned out, had saved no one. Years before, the British had already made this exact mistake. They buried the ships and the truth in a French field.